Hey followers, this is Doug Kenney again, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have Andy McPhee with us again, and we also have Steve Spiro, who is known for his animal rescue organization, and he's going to tell his story of how he got to where he is today. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, how are you both?
Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank
this
you.
is the new clap now on Zoom. It's this now.
Oh, yeah, because you can't get big.
Okay.
This is the new clap. Yeah, thanks, Doug, and hello, Doug. How you doing? I have a new background behind me, and you can't read all of it, but what it says is failure, you always pass on the way to success. So that's pretty much what our program is about here that I created with Doug, Relentless and Unstoppable. A lot of the viewers already know Doug's stories. The new ones are not familiar with it if they haven't seen episode 1. Doug's already had his YouTube channel for many years, interviewing race car drivers, NASCAR drivers, just people who he's got a passion for filmmakers, etc. And then we started this program, Relentless and Unstoppable, that I started bringing people on that I've met in my 30 years of career of acting and coaching, and it's actually grown so massive, and the amount of people that we've had on is just incredible. And we just thank all the guests that have come on to Doug's channel. And Steve, you and me met randomly, probably a couple of years ago now, maybe through Angie Stimson, who's another amazing lady from England and amazing artist. We're going to have her on the show later, but today it's your story, mate, and I'll hand it back to Doug to start firing away some questions.
So yeah, Steve, I'm an author and a social media figure and YouTuber, and I'm enjoying every bit of it, and I'm glad we could bring you on the show. It's really good.
Thank you. I love being here, and you were just telling me about the dog you rescued last year, which is amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And Bunny has been given a great home. She's really happy with my mom.
That's good.
That's great.
It's a great name.
All righty. So I have a list of questions about your career, and hopefully you have the answer for them.
I'll try.
How did you get where you...
Hey, sorry, can I just jump in there for a bit? You actually sounded like a detective then, Doug, like we're in the interview room, like we're just about to be interviewed. So where were you on the...
Okay, I admit it.
I didn't do it.
Detective
All right, Dougie, where you go, mate?
I am on the case. And my brother told me the same thing when I interviewed Adrian Hall from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. He was like, Doug, you sound like a detective. Detective Doug Kenney on the case.
That's right.
All right, Dougie, where you go, mate?
All righty. How did you get to where you are today as an animal rescuer?
Well, I'll try and keep the very short version of this, but basically when I met my wife, my now wife, she had 2 dogs, and I never grew up with dogs. And when I saw them, I'm like, oh, one of them smells. She goes, well, yeah, he has mange, and they were treating him. I was like, oh, okay. And then she went out of town, basically. She said, look, you're going to have to walk them and pick up the poop and feed them when I'm gone. And I was like, horrified. So she went out of town, and I came down for breakfast one morning, and one of the dogs just howled when he saw me with happiness. I'm like, I've never had that reaction from a human in my life. This is great. And I slowly fell in love with both the dogs, and they were fantastic. And one thing led to another. I ended up at the South Central Animal Shelter, and I met the second love of my life, apart from my wife. I met Moi Moi, the dog that I adopted. He was a Brindle Pit Bull mix. And he broke our hearts. He was so sad, so sick, just sat in a kennel in a corner, just moping. And we rescued him. And after like 6 months of basically just every day singing songs to him, he came out of his shell, and he was just this incredible, incredible dog. He just was, every dog we brought home that had been abused, they went straight to Moi Moi. He was so confident, loved everything, loved everyone. And we eventually got into rescuing and formed Start Rescue, the organization we have today.
Wow, that's amazing, man. Like, yeah, incredible what animals can do for us, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. I mean, literally, I felt like if anyone told me this, I'd be like, they're crazy. But I really felt like he was a son from maybe a previous life or something, but I just felt like this was, we had this such strong connection.
Yeah, look, and just to jump in there, prior to starting, I was sharing with everyone here about a gentleman I met last night at a restaurant, and the bull mastiff that he just rescued a few weeks ago, he said his father had just died, and he said this dog came into his life. It was about to be put down, and they rescued him, and he said, honestly, it came into my life at the right time, and he felt it was that he said he felt it was like a present from his dad to, and I saw the connection these two had. It was just unbelievable. But
it's unbelievable. Yeah,
it's
the connection.
To be honest, to be honest with you, I've had a lot of pets in my life. Like I've had cats and I've had dogs, and I have a cat at the moment, and I've had a lot of funny memories with raising a pet. Like one time back when I was living in Estes, I had a bunch of cats, so we had like 2 cat boxes. One time I woke up in the middle of the night and I had to go to the bathroom. I had to take a leak, and my bathroom was locked because, it was being fixed, and I didn't want to wake my mom and dad to go use their bathroom. So I took a leak in the cat box.
Oh my God.
When I say this, but the next day when I woke up, my brother Harrison, who was usually responsible for cleaning the litter, the litter box, asked me, Doug, did you have anything to do with this? There was a puddle everywhere. And I was like,
all right, next question, Doug.
I just had to say that. It was
TMI. Too much.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. All right, keep going, Dougie.
All righty. What struggle?
How can I top that? I cannot top that.
Yeah,
Andy.
I know, right? There's no way, mate. There's no way. Your story's done now.
Doomed. Yeah.
All righty. What struggles did you overcome to get to where you are?
With the animal rescue?
Yeah.
Well, Steve, you can share with whatever is relevant to the animal rescue in your life, because a lot of this is about people's life's journeys too, which created what their passion is.
Well, I mean, bluntly, I was bullied as a kid at school, and I got into martial arts and boxing, and ended up getting arrested for beating someone up. That started with me, so I kind of reversed roles in a way for a little while. But rescuing animals, seeing the sadness in the shelters and how poorly the shelters are run. LA City and LA County have 2 of the worst people in charge of the shelters. And I'll say that publicly. I'll say that anywhere. They're terrible. They could do such a better job, and they don't, because they don't care. And going into the shelters and just seeing the amount of animals and the lack of, the shelter workers are wonderful. They're great people. Animal control people, some of them are wonderful. The people in charge at the very top, the general manager and the director, horrid. And just going into a shelter and just seeing the sadness, and you empathize with these animals that they've done nothing wrong. They just, they've just been, because of the breed, their pit bulls end up in the shelter because they've got the wrong stigma. People think of them as a vicious animal, which they're not. Our group has rescued over 2,000 pit bulls, and they're the best breed on the planet. We've had less problems with the pit bull than any other breed. They're just, they're so loyal and so kind and special, so it's, I for myself, as being a bullied kid and seeing how they're called the bully breed, but they are such lovable, wonderful creatures. And there's misconception with a lot of things in life, So I vow to help as many as I could. So
that's amazing, Steve. And look, just something you mentioned about bullying, and we can touch on a bit of that here, because there's no specific subject here. Like, we've had Jerry Trimble on, who's an activist for anti-bullying, and it's very interesting that you bring that up.
I met Jerry years ago.
Oh wow, that's awesome, man!
At the Jet Center, I think it was at the Jet Center.
Yeah. Well, Jerry was a 2 times world champion kickboxer, and he's another amazing guy, just a great human,
Very nice guy. I remember, very nice guy.
Can you share a little bit, like before Doug asks a couple more questions, can you share a little bit briefly what it was like as a young kid to be bullied? Because we are going to have a special segment on bullying soon.
Yeah, I got mono, which we call glandular fever, when I was 13, and just lost all my confidence and was very tired and glands swollen and just started getting bullied by 3 kids at school, and it went on for a couple of years. And it was, horrible going to school, and then other kids bullied. When they see weakness, especially kids, they're kind of like, because it makes them feel superior in some way. And it went on for a couple of years, and it was just, it really stayed with me. I think things from childhood really do stay with you, and obviously I worked through it, but I said to myself after that, I'll never allow anyone to bully me again. And I will stand up for those that have no voice.
Yeah.
And do you think that's driven into your care of the dogs as well? Like, because dogs are being bullied, a lot of them,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our rescue group takes the dogs no one wants. We usually get the dogs on their last day. Dogs that have 3 legs. Dogs. There's one dog, which is actually on my T-shirt. It's called 52 Days with Hero. It's a book. Actually, me and my friend wrote a book about this dog that's selling right now. He was a dog that had terminal cancer. And I think I bored Andy. I think he left. This dog Hero had terminal cancer, and he was only supposed to live a day, and he ended up living 52 days. We took care of him and just taught everybody so much, just the love for each day of his life. He lived every day like it was a year, which is incredible.
Yeah, that's really good what you do for animals. That's just great,
I just got to say before we go any further, I do have my shirt here.
There you go. You've got your hero. Not all heroes wear cape.
And I remember that you gave me this too. Oh, hang on, let me see. That's not really doing too well. There we go. Is that a bit better?
Oh yeah, that's called it. That's In Your Face. That's Chris DeRose, who runs Last Chance for Animals, which is probably one of the best animal cruelty investigation groups in the world. I mean, talk about someone that stood up for animals. Chris has been stabbed. Chris has been shot. Chris has served time in federal prison with, one time he was in there with a night stalker in solitary confinement because he broke into the UCLA labs back in the 80s to free the animals that were experimenting on. And because he broke into government property, he was looked at as a terrorist. So he went to prison for that. And he went on a hunger strike in prison. The guy is relentless for the animals. He's done more for the animals than any other human being on this planet. Yeah,
I've got his book here too that you kindly gave me. That'd be someone we'd really love to get on this. He's still in the US?
Yeah, he's in LA. Yes.
I would love to get him on the show.
Yeah, I'll talk to him. He's a good friend. We're good friends.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Sorry, Doug, to cut your cake there, mate. Away you go for a few more questions.
Yeah, so Steve, I must tell you, I experienced bullying myself, which I said in the first episode.
Yes.
And my journey with autism is incredible. I wrote a book about it, this one called The Amazing Comeback of an Autistic Spokesperson. It was in the top 15 in the United Kingdom at one point this year.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, I was ecstatic when it was.
Why were you bullied?
Well, I was bullied because I struggled to fit in with other people at my school district because of my autism. And the bullying kind of stopped after a piñata incident that I'm going to detail in a later episode in a bullying podcast. I'm going to detail that later on, but it kind of stopped after an incident involving a piñata contest at my school. And I gave a speech to my class, basically telling them about my autism. And the bullying kind of stopped after that, to be honest.
Wow, good for you. That's great. Yeah, mine stopped when I sparred with the toughest kid in our school. Everyone was scared of, and we became friends. And me and him sparred, and I held my own. But didn't stop after that.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
Like Jerry Trimble,
Jerry Trimble, he happened to him too.
Yeah, same thing. Like he practiced his karate up in his bedroom and finally started taking it seriously. And then the guys who were bullying him, he said it was relentless for years and years and years at school. And one day at the locker room, he was packing his karate outfit in there, and the bully came up and got in his face and said, "What, you think you're tough now?" And Jerry, he said, "I wasn't going to do anything." And next thing, he pushed Jerry into the locker, and Jerry slammed his head into the locker, so he just sat him on his butt. really quickly. So it didn't hurt him. He just sat him on his butt really quickly. And from that day on, that was it. It was over and done, you know. And look, I was just going to say, we definitely are going to be doing another episode on bullying, like full-on series on that. So we'll definitely get you back for that, 100%. And I just mentioned something with Doug's books. One of his books is now, the one he just showed you, has been, it's now being used in curriculum in a school. And also, he only found out the other day that the book is actually now going to live print. And it's actually going to be in bookshops around the US, which is just amazing.
Well, now let me ask you a question, Doug. If your book goes into schools, that means if someone wants to buy your book online, doesn't that shoot the price up? Because now it's a textbook.
A little bit, but Amazon told me they'd get back to me recently on what I must charge it for.
Yeah, it will shoot up if it becomes a textbook. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we were trying to get a book a while ago, and it was because it was a textbook in school. It was a book about a concentration camp survivor, but it became a textbook. The book was like 10 times what you can originally buy it for, because it's now a textbook.
Wow. Okay, that's good. Because Doug deserves to get, like income out of this now, because he's not in the workforce, but he's making a big difference to people around the world. He's also, I've included him in the group that for Ghana, which I got invited onto to help with production for telling women's stories of abuse and social rights and human rights. And they want to convert a short film into a feature film. So I brought 4 or 5 people on board. A friend of mine in Australia, he's offered to direct it. Doug, we put him in charge of social media and advertising, and it's given Doug, like all of us, but especially Doug, like dealing with high functioning autism, it's given him a stand in the world now, not to be hiding in the shadows, you know.
Amazing. That's amazing, Doug. Amazing. What a journey you've had.
Yeah, for sure. So I have a couple more questions to ask.
Sure.
Go for it. How are you and your company holding up in COVID times?
Our organization is doing okay, actually. We're lucky. You know, we raise, a few months ago, actually, we received a couple of big donations, which came out of the blue. And we were like, wow, we were just so lucky. And we've had a lot of bills lately because we have our group. Basically what we do is we transport dogs from kill shelters in California. We have a large truck called the Beast. It's all retrofitted, and it goes up to the Pacific Northwest to Oregon and Washington State. And we take up to 150 dogs at a time. We get them out of kill shelters here. They go to groups that we have signed contracts with in the Pacific Northwest. And then they send us updates when the dog gets a home. And then we put that into a newsletter for our donors, so people see exactly where the dogs end up. So, you know, it's very popular. People buy a seat on the bus. People donate here and there to us. So we've been okay. We've been lucky.
That's good to hear. I'm really impressed with what you guys have been doing. So you're based in LA then?
We're based in LA. We have our group has 2 forms. One is the transports, where we try to get them out the shelters. And the second form is we fund spay and neuter. We work very closely with the Porterville shelter, which is in mid-California, Porterville, Tulare, and Visalia shelters, because they really want to work with us out there. So we fund their spay-neuter program. So it's been success, and we get their dogs out of the shelter. So we're dropping their euthanasia rate and improving their live release rate, and less animals are coming into the shelter.
Well, that's amazing.
We hit it from both. The point is to hit it from both sides. You know, help them get out the shelter and stop them coming into the shelter. That's why the spay routes and the transports together, and it's working. And this is a small shelter that the people care and they want our help. You know, we've tried to do that here in LA City. They're not interested.
Yeah, wow. Hey, Steve, what we'll do is after we'll get all your details so that we can put this on the channel about where people can donate. I mean, I've been sharing it on Twitter. I've been sharing it to Ricky Gervais. He's got back a couple of times and liked what I've said, but I'm going to be relentless with him and push your story to him, because he's an animal lover, like inside out, especially dogs. So I would love him to finally one day connect up. You know, I don't care how big a superstar he is, because I love him. I think he's an amazing actor. I love his shows, but I'm relentless I tag him in everything, and sooner or later, I want him to be able to contact you to help you build your profile and what your company's doing, because he can do that, you know.
Thank you very much.
You never told me you were connected to Ricky Gervais.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh.
Delete. I just said I connect up with him on Twitter. Like, you know, I just connect messages. Like he's liked a few things I've said, but he does it to everybody. But what I'm saying is I really want to be relentless in having him see what Steve's doing, because Ricky is a dog lover. Like he's showing some horrific things what they do overseas to dogs. Like, you know, so I want him to see what Steve is doing. Steve, one thing in the next few minutes we got, you were making a documentary. Was that correct? Was that Unleashed or was that a movie?
Oh, no, we did. My partners, Silver Collegian and Alison Eastwood, we basically created a TV show about the world, the PR world of Hollywood meets the animal rescue world. The show's called Boned. Their website's called bonedtheseries.com. And we shot the pilot. And there's actually, I think on the website, there's a trailer. And now we're in the process of trying to sell the show.
Okay, great.
It's scripted. It's not documentary. It's a scripted show.
Okay, right. So, all right, Boned. And it's all to do with, like, you know, dogs again, obviously.
It's to do with the Hollywood. Basically, what it's about is this woman. She's a very big-time publicist, and she's about to merge with the biggest publicist in Hollywood. And she's rushing out to, you know, do one of her saving one of her clients who's in a bit of trouble. And she hits a dog, and instead of stopping, she takes off. So people video her, and then her video goes viral. And she goes to court, and she has a choice: go to prison or do 300 hours of community service at an animal rescue group. So she chooses, she gets the hours in their animal rescue group. She hates it. The guy that runs it hates her. She hates him. And she's basically in this new world, and she sees this whole new world of what really goes on.
Wow, awesome.
This is a lot of our experiences.
Those details as well.
Yeah,
you can send them to me, and then we'll give them to Doug, and we'll make up, you know, like a little video, but everything that you're doing for what you're doing, you know.
Thank you. I will. Thank you.
That'll be awesome. And that was Clint Eastwood's daughter, right?
Alison's Clint's daughter, yes.
Oh, wow, man, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
She directed the pilot, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. That's so good. That's great. Doug, back to you, mate.
So you're into acting and film as well?
Acting and mainly writing, actually. Now I've really got into the writing screenplays and TV shows. Here's
my screenplay, Most and the Great Escape.
What's it called? Most and the Great Escape?
Mose and the Great Escape.
Oh, Mose. What is Mose?
He's a character based on Moses.
Oh, that's great.
And here's my other screenplay, Ray Guns a Chronos, War on Claudiusville, Part 1, The New Heroes.
Wow. Look at you. That's a lot of pages. They're thick books.
Yeah, man. You know how long, hey, Doug, tell them how long it took you to write that.
That one that I just showed, Ray Guns a Chronos, took 4 months. And this one took only 1 month. 1 month,
wow.
Incredible.
So yeah, tell me more about your screenwriting career.
Well, I don't know as much of a career. It's really just beginning. But I wrote so a few years ago, I was reading a book my wife bought me for Christmas about the fighter Sam Langford. He was born around 1886. So he fought like around 1900. He was from Nova Scotia in Canada and walked a few hundred miles to Boston, Massachusetts, where he studied boxing, fighting professionally. And he had over 300 professional fights. And they say he was the greatest heavyweight never to fight for the title. Because at the time, Jack Johnson, who was a black fighter, wouldn't fight Sam. Sam was just too good. And Sam was only 5'7". So Sam knocked out everybody he fought and ended up going blind and basically fought for the Mexican heavyweight title blind and knocked the guy out in the first round. Wow. He was that good. So he said he didn't need to see his opponents. He just needed to feel where they were.
Holy cow.
I optioned the book from a wonderful guy called Clay Moyle, who was kind enough to let me option the book from him. And I wrote the screenplay, and now it's basically got some interest. So we're in early stages right now.
That's
got
awesome.
A lot of interest. Yeah, got some people involved right now. So we're waiting to see how it goes. And then
well, that's really relevant to that sign behind me. You'll pass failure on the way to success. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean, gee whiz.
It's I mean, it's a really hard business. You know, I've been turned down about 8,962,000 times. You know, had the word no thrown at me about 27 million times, but just keep writing. And in the last decade, I've literally just written, you know, and got some really good projects together now.
Yeah, you're like Steve. Angie tells me, you know, when I talk to her, and she just is inexplicable for the explanation for you and who you are. Like, you know, like failure, you know, it's not even a word. It's just something you bypass onto the success you're creating with, like, especially for animals. Like, if animals could speak, man, like if they go to heaven and, you know, the day that, you know, time on earth's up for you, I'm sure you're going to get a huge welcome up there, mate, if dogs are up there.
That's where I want to go. I want to be no humans except my wife and my parents and a couple of my good friends, but the dogs I could be surrounded by all day long.
Yeah, well, you know what, just on that, Cody, my son, you know, who's an actor, and he the last movies he was in that was quite big. I mean, he's done more, but the biggest one was the X-Men, I guess. He was the Nightcrawler in that, right? And I've worked with Cody since he started acting at the age of 7 or 8. Now, he did a movie back in Australia prior to the movie he did in America called The Road with Viggo Mortensen, Charlize Theron, Guy Pearce. Cody was only 11 years old. He was the lead in that. But the one he did before that in Australia that got him to America was called Romulus, My Father, which was a true story about immigrants back in the day, came to Australia from Germany, I think. Romulus was his name, and had a farm. And Raymond Gator, who wrote a book on dogs. Like, if you got to Google Raymond Gator, he's an animal lover. He talks about dogs' philosophy and towards human beings, like, and that all came. Raymond became a philosopher through the growing up with the lessons of his father and all he had to experience. His mother committing suicide, his best friend, his dad's best friend committing suicide, all true stuff, amazing stories. But the one thing his dad said, they loved animals. This cockatoo they had, Raymond used to ride his bike to school when he was about 9 or 10, and the cockatoo used to fly above him all the way to school, and then it would meet him again when he was riding home.
That's amazing.
And then his dog used to run out and greet him at the gate on the farm. And anyway, the dog passed away, and the dad's words in the film were, you know, he buried him and he just said, you know, if there's a dog's heaven, he said, I'm sure that we're going to meet one day, and, you know, I'm going to hear from you. Like, he was just, like you just said, man, it's just beautiful. Like, when people really connect with animals there. And just jumping off topic, my friend in Australia, she said to me the other day, you got to check out this Netflix series, The Octopus and Me or something.
I heard about that.
Oh, they reckon it's incredible. This octopus that this guy the octopus guy, it used to jump out at him when he came underwater, and it come up and touch his heart. And I'm going, holy cow, man. Like, we just don't know anything about animals, really.
No, that's why we have to stop eating them as well.
Yeah, man. It's like,
that's why I turned vegan. I turned vegan a decade ago, because I'm like, I don't want to eat them.
Yeah.
That's good on you, man.
Well, listen, guys, we better wrap up because we've got to go. But Steve, we definitely want you back on again, mate. Like,
definitely
down the track when you've got a bit more time. So,
thank you, guys.
Really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate Doug Kenney for everything that he's doing in his life and his transformation and the work he's doing.
You too, Andy. You've had quite a journey as well, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's another series.
Yeah, and I
episodic.
Yes.
Have been able to do what I've been doing without the help of Andy. In fact, yesterday when I interviewed the producer of the Disney movie Pocahontas, I had the producer give Andy and Cody McPhee a shout out.
Oh, that's great. That's so nice.
Yeah, it was really lovely. I saw it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Everyone has to help each other, you know?
That's it, mate. That's exactly right. We've got to be a stand for people, you know, like, and even if you don't know what you're doing, someone else does, just ask.
Exactly.
If you can't do something, just reach out, because there's someone on this planet who'll go, yeah, man, I'll help you.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree. I know.
There is someone. Well, Dougie, thank you, Steve. Really, really thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Andy.
Yes. Dougie, can you take us out, mate?
For sure. I want to thank both of our guests for joining the show today. I enjoyed every bit of it. And please, whenever you have a chance, check out my screenplay, No Say in the Great Escape. And we'll see you next time on Being Relentless and Unstoppable.